So these are two very important slides in my mind, because after all of these topics, we talked about like, why aren't people staying on my site? Why isn't anybody signing up for my list? How can I organize my homepage? Nobody's going past the first sentence of my blog post, whatever it is. I'm getting the wrong people on my email list. We talked about all of those things. The next thing that I've gotten as far as a question goes is, I want to start selling my own products, but I don't know if I'm ready. There are a few different things that I recommend. Obviously, like, I think selling your own products is huge. I think that that is absolutely one of the most important, crucial things that you can do for your business to take your income into your own hands. However, I do think that there are a few things that you will need to do before you are ready. And so I listed them out in a very, very specific, in a very long list. This is going to be a checklist for you so that you can have them all in one place to kind of run down them. This is how you can know if you are ready to sell your own products. Number one comes back to the slide that we were just on. You have to be crystal clear on who it is that you are talking to. You have to identify exactly who your perfect readers are. You have to know what they are looking for and who they are before you can make a product for them. Because otherwise, you're putting the cart before the horse. I went to, and I probably, you guys have probably heard this story before, but I'm going to tell it again anyway because it was a really good one. So Shark Tank. Anybody familiar with Shark Tank? I was at a conference once, and this woman was talking about Shark Tank and this particular product that was brought in front of the sharks on Shark Tank. And it was called, I can't even remember what it was. It was a tube of chapstick, but it had what they called a friend end. So there's the end for you to be able to use, and then there's another end for your friend to be able to use the same chapstick. Of course you need a chapstick that has a friend end to share with your friend. Are you kidding me? Like, this is the problem that everybody's facing. And obviously, guys, I'm 30. I know. I'm 30, and I have never, ever in my adult life, ever had anybody offer me their chapstick or ask anybody to use their chapstick. I, in fact, think that that ended probably in about 1996 when people were sharing chapsticks. This is a problem that doesn't exist. This is a problem, let me say it again, that does not exist. They created a product because it was a cool idea for this product. But the problem is that the market decides if they want it, and they don't, because it's not a problem that exists. You've created a solution that nobody needs. If you do not have people to actually sell it to, if you don't have people to market it to, if you don't have a solution that you are solving for people, then you can't sell your product. That's just kind of what it comes down to. Another thing specifically is making sure that the solution that you're offering is specific to your people. This goes back to making sure that you are growing your email list with people inside of your niche specifically. I don't necessarily have like a number for you guys as far as like, when can you start to create a product if your list is X number of size? I don't have that. I don't think that that's necessarily like a thing. Because honestly, like, there's a woman who I follow, actually, like Liz Wilcox is her name. I adore her. I buy her copywriting and email templates all the time. She's awesome. She shares very transparently. Her list has like less than 1,000 people on it. She was able to sell more than 600 spots inside of her membership. Yes. So in no way, shape, or form am I saying like you need to have 1,000 people on your email list before you can sell a product. Absolutely not. But it comes back to this, knowing who exactly it is that you're helping. If you don't know who you're helping and you don't know what their problems are, you cannot offer them a solution. And if you're growing your list, and this kind of goes back to the problem that we were talking about a little bit earlier, if you're working on growing your list and you're like, I don't know what kind of freebies to make, I'm just going to make a new freebie for every single post. Sometimes we have posts that align really, really well with what our niche is, with what we talk about specifically. And sometimes we have posts that kind of are a little bit more fringe. Like I said, like I have the home decor stuff. I'm not going to make a freebie for home decor. That's silliness. Like I'm crazy. I'm not that crazy. So I'm not going to do that. It's that simple. You have to make sure that you are growing your list with the right people. Otherwise, your list growth, and I've struggled with this before in the past, so this is no shame to anybody. Your list growth, if you're not working on growing with the right people, your list growth will just be a vanity metric. It's just a big number to be like, oh, I have 150 billion people on my email list. It's like, okay, cool. But you also have a 0.2% open rate and nobody buys your stuff because nobody knows what you're selling because it doesn't make any sense to them because all that you did was try to get your list to be that big by just acquiring email addresses, not actually doing something with them. And do you worry about being too specific with your readers, with the freebie or with the product? I don't necessarily worry about that. Typically, though, I will say this. I start kind of on a broader scale. So I could have very easily pared this down and said the budget binder for moms of young children, budget binder for single moms, the single moms budget binder, the work at home moms budget binder. So that would be much more specific. Now, obviously, like the branding and the colors make it very clear who it's for. And so it's going to repel people who are not into those kinds of style aspects. But as far as like niching down, I do not worry about that. Okay, niching down too much for choosing your big product. No. What I do say that I have done and will continue to do is I will start with, believe it or not, this is actually one of my smaller products. I will start with a smaller product. I will start with a few different smaller products to see what my audience is most interested in. Because there are some things where I'm like, oh, this is going to be a home run. And it was like not. And I'm like, whoa, what happened? Like, what happened here? And then I have to go back and reassess, reevaluate what happened. But in order to figure out what I want to do to spend all of my time and energy making a big course, I have a money course that's $500. And I know that that's huge. It comes with 4 weeks of money coaching in group setting and access to like a bunch of different stuff. But anyway, so it's a big course. It is way more than this. There's like 5 books that are just like these, except even more, I think, because I wanted to give everybody everything. But I know that that course itself is not for everybody. I know that the price on that course is going to be an exclusionary factor. I know that there are going to be some people who are like, I am not ready for money coaching just yet. I can't do this. I'm not there yet. And that's totally fine. So I don't necessarily like overwhelm myself per se with being worried about like niching down, but I do not make a big product about something until I have made a small product and seen how it was received by my list. That's kind of, I just do testing all the time. Everything is a test. This masterclass was kind of a test. Like, true story. Everything that I'm doing is testing. It's A/B testing. It's seeing what's working. It's throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks. That's basically life as an entrepreneur. It's just kind of experimentation. But before you create a big product, protect your time and energy and start with something smaller and see if that works for your list. See if they're into it. See if it makes sense for them and if they want to buy it. Because there's nothing, take my word for it, please. There is nothing more frustrating than spending like tons and tons of time and energy making a course that is awesome. Like it was awesome, but with chicky bomb bomb. I had a product that nobody on my list needed or wanted or had any interest in or even knew about. I was trying to market like way back when. I made a course for, it was called Pinterest Group Board Master. It was really good. It was really, really good. It had like 17 modules. Very in-depth. Videos, screenshots, written instructions, printables. It was really good. It probably took me like 40 hours to make this course. Not a single person bought it. Not a single person bought it. Why, might you ask, would that have happened? Because I made a blogging product when I only had a list of money people. If I had said, here's how to use Pinterest to do meal planning without having to pay for a meal planning service, I would have had people who would have signed up. I would have had people who would have bought it. But because of the fact that I was trying to fit the square peg into the round hole, or putting the cart before the horse, or making the product before I had the audience, before I had the niche, before I had the know-how to actually promote this, the people to actually sell it to, it was a waste of time. Now, granted, it wound up being like a good thing at the end, but like at the same time, it was a waste of time. It was a waste of time. And yeah, do not recommend being like, I'm just going to start with making a big course, like a big all encompassing course. I do not recommend that at all. I recommend starting nice and small. Printables are a great way to do it. Easy intro level courses are a way to do it, like a few modules kind of thing. Low price point, no barrier to entry kind of thing, just to kind of get a general heads up, like a feel for how your people like this, what their problems are, what their struggles are, is a really good way to kind of get started. But sometimes we, again, put the cart before the horse, and we've forgotten the fact that we need to really get back to the basics of, I help blank who struggle with blank who want to blank. Okay, a few more things that I wanted to point out before you can ever sell a product, or before you do sell a product. Obviously, like, you can, but like, be aware that if you just jump straight into selling without having doing a lot of these things, it can be problematic. So like I said, starting smaller is better. It's what I recommend. Not just is it cheaper, not just is it more time effective for you, but it also gives you the ability to play around with things. Sometimes we do launches and we're like, this was terrible. I never want to do a course launch again. That was horrible. Like, I have a gripe with Teachable's checkout. I use Teachable for my courses, and I can't stand their checkout. If I had known ahead of time not to have like saddled myself with Teachable way back when, I probably wouldn't have used them. And that's okay. You live and learn. But starting with a PDF is really the best thing to do. Next, you have to remember that when it comes to selling your products, there is going to be an additional expense. There are going to be additional expenses. And we're not just talking about PayPal fees or anything. You're going to need to have some kind of a checkout page and a payment processor. I use ThriveCart. There's also SendOwl. I liked ThriveCart because it was the upfront payment versus SendOwl, which is monthly. You are also going to need to have a place for the sales page. I do that inside of Lead Pages. But again, just to kind of be totally upfront, when you start to talk about creating a product, you're also talking about you incurring more expenses. It's also going to be something to keep in mind if you're first starting out and you're like, I don't know what to do. Full blown, like we said earlier, I would start with doing a tripwire. I would absolutely, whatever product that you have right now, set it up to be a tripwire for your opt-in box and see how it goes. Give it a month. And if you're like, okay, so 1,000 people saw this, which is a big number. I get it. We're just going with round numbers. Bear with me. 1,000 people saw this and nobody bought. Okay, we have a problem. And that's when you can kind of go back on that. But it does help because then you don't have to do any kind of like active selling or anything like that. I'm a big fan of tripwires. Another thing that you have to make sure that you do before you actually start selling your own products is emailing your list regularly. Emailing your list regularly. Now, I am not saying to give away the farm inside of these emails, but what I am saying is if you want to make sure that you have an engaged list, that you're not just growing that list to be a vanity metric. If you're working on growing your list, it needs to be something that you're spending your time on is emailing them. Do it at least once a week. At least once a week. Preferably more, but when you're first starting out, email them at least once a week. Also, another thing that's really important is inside of those emails that you send, add some kind of a link. Give them some kind of an action that they can take. Because this is a really important thing because you are then training them, which sounds really terrible, but I'm going somewhere. You're training them to click. You're training them to take an action. So now when you send out an email and it has a link in it, they're like, oh yeah, I'll click on it. Because they're used to you delivering so much value, whether it is sending a link to your YouTube channel, sending a link to follow you on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, to a blog post, to a brand new freebie that you've just made, whatever it is, give them a link to click on in every single email. Because the last thing that you want to do is just send emails that are full of value, that they never have to click on anything. And then they get to the actual part where you sell them something and they're like, that's weird. I've never seen a link in here before. I'm not going to click on it. Or they'll be like, oh, okay, this is just Caroline sending another email, and then go on about their day, completely overlooking the fact that I sent the link inside of that email. That has happened before. So a really good way to make sure that you are doing everything is to send them an email at least once a week. Give them a link to click. And then once you have kind of done all of the things to this point, now we can start to talk about actually making your own product, actually getting it out in front of people. When it comes to the launch of your product, you need to be prepared to email your list every day for however long the launch is. However long the launch is, however many days you choose to make your launch. I've done 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10-day launches. Don't recommend a 10-day launch. That's a lot. I do like the 3 or 5-day launches personally, but before you even start to be like, yeah, I could totally sell this product, this has to be something that you do. You have to be prepared to send an email every single day for the duration of that launch. Don't worry, it's okay. Every single day, there has to be an email, because remember, we are busy people. We forget what we've signed up for. We've clicked read on emails when we really didn't read them just to get to inbox 0. We forget, like, oh yeah, that Kathy girl, she had a product that I wanted to buy, but I forgot about it and I can't find the email. That's why you need to email repeatedly. And also, there's another I can do this. I can talk. There is another psychology thing about selling. It's that people need to be exposed to something either 7 or 9 times before they're willing to buy. People need to be exposed to something 7 or 9 times before they're willing to buy, which is why these launches every single day, sending out an email, works. Otherwise, you are going to be dealing with people who are like, I didn't even know that you had a launch. That email that I said where I was selling my course that nobody needed or wanted, I sent out one email and then I deemed it a flop. I was like, oh my gosh, I suck at selling. I'm never going to sell anything again. I sent out one email, and I called it a flop. I didn't mention it ever again. If I had mentioned it ever again, maybe I would have gotten somebody to buy, but we'll never know, because I never actually committed to launching. I was like, I'm going to send an email and I'm going to walk away and I'm going to run in the other direction, because selling is still icky. And like, I'm going to throw it at people, be like, here, you should take it, man, like run away. That's what we do when we don't have a plan to send an email every single day during a launch. It feels very much kind of like word vomit from like Mean Girls. It just comes out. You're just like, yeah, take it and go away. It is okay to send your list emails however often you want. If you want to email your people 5 times a day, you can do that. Just make sure you have something to say. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. If you want to do that, if you want to email your list 5 times a day, you go for it. You want to launch every single day for the next 2 years, you go for it. You go for it. You do it. You make up the rules for this stuff. But the big thing here is make sure that you are actually telling your people about the product that you have created. You can't just say, oh, I have this product. Oh, cool. Can I buy it? No. It's not on my site. It's not in my shop. But yeah, I have it. Or worse, this has happened to me. Again, man, I sound really like poor old Caroline, past Caroline. She really stepped in it quite a few times. This product is going to help so many people, but I don't talk about it because it's icky to sell. No. If I had just piped up and said, guys, this budget binder, every single time that I've gotten a nice review on it, if I piped up and said, hey, you have to hear what Allie just said about the budget binder. If I piped up every single time that somebody said something nice, or that I was like, you know what? People need to hear about the budget binder again. If I talked about the budget binder as often as I needed to, I would be able to help so many more people. I know that this is helpful to people. I know that this is easy and life changing and super simple and makes budgeting, dare I say, fun and easy. So I'm doing my people a disservice by not telling them that they can buy this. That's the way that you need to look at all of your products. You're doing your people a disservice by not telling them that you have something for sale, that you have something to offer them. That's all that it comes down to. So, do I recommend everybody jumping straight into selling your own products? Not until you find out who it is that you're talking to. I'm not a big fan of like, you need to have, 25 posts or something before you start actually like promoting anything, or you need to have 1,000 people on your email list before you do something, this and that. 0% am I like that. The only thing that I really, really, really care about is this. Do you know who it is that you're talking to? Do you know who it is that you're talking to? How do you help them? How are you going to help them? That's a big, big, big thing.